Hey everybody, day two of my daily vlog thingy. Today I'm going to talk about the NFL. I'm a big fan of American football. I played in two fantasy football leagues this year. Finished third in both of them. One was an eight-team league. One was a 10-team league. Uh, I would have done better in one of them. Actually, I would have done better in both of them, but injuries were awful this year. I cannot remember a season with more injuries, more key injuries than this year. I mean, so many running backs, so many like top running backs and top wide receivers went out. I mean, especially running backs: Jamal Charles, Adrian Peterson, obviously, Darren McFadden. Just so many. DeMarco Murray. Not that he's. I'm a Cowboys fan, but okay, for the sake of everyone, leave Cowboys fans alone. They need to grieve. They have had a rough decade. But I'll get to that in a second. Okay, but yeah, one of my leagues, my first two picks were Andre Johnson and Greg Jennings, and both were injured come playoff time. Andre Johnson was my number one overall. I know, I did double wide receiver. I just wanted to try it. And then my other league, I lost my first three games of the year because Arian Foster was injured, and he was actually my number two draft pick. I got Aaron Rodgers and Arian Foster in that league. I don't know. I don't know. It was only 8 teams, but I played with my family, with my aunts and uncles, cousins, and my 91-year-old grandpa actually played. He went. He only won 2 games, but he played, and he got some pretty good waiver wire acquisitions. Fred Jackson and people like that. Well, maybe not Fred Jackson. I can't remember how. I think he drafted Fred Jackson. Anyway, he did okay though. Okay, let's talk about the playoffs real quick. The teams in the playoffs so far. I have to look at my little bracket. The NFC, we've got the Lions, the Saints, the 49ers in one section, and then we got the Falcons, the Giants, and the Packers in the other. Now for the NFC, let's start with that. First matchups, we have Lions versus Saints and Falcons versus Giants, right? That's right. Lions versus Saints. I think that the Saints will beat the Lions because I think the Saints are the best team in the NFC, possibly the NFL right now. I know the Packers went 15-1. Did they go 15-1? Yes, they went 15-1. I wasn't sure if it was 14-2 or not. And how about Matt Flynn on this? Matt Flynn throwing for 6 touchdowns. I should have started him on my fantasy team. Instead, I went with Mark Sanchez because I was like, Aaron Rodgers won't play. Who can I pick up off the waiver wire? Matt Flynn. Well, I don't know about that guy. Whatever, 40 fantasy points. Okay, enough about fantasy football. Speaking of this Sunday, Matthew Stafford is amazing. 520 yards. Just it bewilders me that he was not selected to the Pro Bowl and Eli Manning was instead. But Eli Manning has a Super Bowl ring. Yeah, I still can't justify it. It should have been Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers, and Matthew Stafford. Those should have been the 3 Pro Bowl picks for the NFC. Period. Anyway, so the Lions are good, I think, but the Saints they lucked out, or they didn't luck out. They had really bad luck getting the Saints first round. I think the Saints will beat them. So then the Saints will go on. Hang on. To play the 49ers, and really I don't think the 49ers will beat the Saints either. I like some things about the 49ers. Obviously the defense is really good. I like how Alex Smith has played. I'm convinced he's a game manager type quarterback. Frank Gore, he's been beast half the season, and the other half of the season he's gone like 7 attempts for 9 yards, and it's like, Frank Gore, come on. I had him on my fantasy team. I drafted the guy. I believe in Frank Gore, but I don't know. It just the 49ers offense kind of I think they're just going to end up getting a bunch of field goals, even against the Saints. That's just me. So Michael Crabtree has kind of come out this year pretty well, but I think all in all, just the Saints are an absolute juggernaut on offense with Drew Brees setting the single season passing record. I think he's just too good. I think Drew Brees and Aaron Rodgers are. We should just clone them. They are the best quarterbacks in the NFL. Drew Brees will beat the 49ers defense. Okay, so you got the Saints in the NFC Championship. And then on the other side, we've got the Falcons and the Giants for the first round. I think the Falcons will win that one. And it's not just because I'm a Cowboys fan, which let me talk briefly about the Cowboys. It's been a hard decade because every year it seems like, except for last year when Romo got injured and everything went to crap, which I'm a believer in Tony Romo. I know we haven't really seen anything Super Bowl-wise from him, and we've only won one playoff game, but he is a great quarterback. Maybe not great. Really good quarterback. I think the big thing is, for everyone that's like, oh, Romo, he chokes, blah, blah, blah. We don't have anyone else. Have you seen Stephen McGee? I rest my case. John Kitna, he's old. He's injured right now. He's not. We went under John Kitna last season, and I know that, you know, there were circumstances he hadn't taken a snap like in a long time. Anyway, Romo is the best we are going to get for the foreseeable future. We're stuck with him. It's fine. What we need as a Cowboys fan, I know they're not in the playoffs. We need a running game. Felix Jones was pretty bad on Sunday against the Giants. And DeMarco Murray's injured, and I really think that's the difference. And I also think that it's really stupid that the Cowboys threw the game against the Eagles last Sunday, because I was watching that game, and I watched the whole thing. And even though the Eagles were eliminated from playoff contention that day because the Giants won, and the Cowboys were playing for next week, they looked downtrodden and depressed and beaten up by losing to the Eagles that way. And it wasn't that bad of a loss. Actually, it was, because the Cowboys didn't score until the final 2 minutes with McGee. It was the wrong decision to lose that game, I think. I think they should have played it out, fought, and if they had won against the Eagles, I believe they could have carried that momentum into the Giants. But just the first half of the Cowboys-Giants game, Giants were up 21-0. You could just tell there was no momentum. There was no drive. It was... Anyway, that was a terrible decision, I think. And I think that's what cost them the game this past Sunday. Because they could have beaten the Giants. You saw them, 3 weeks ago. They played them to a field goal, and then it got blocked. I mean, the Cowboys are capable of beating the Giants. It just didn't happen because of that. Okay. Side note, rabbit trail is done. Now, Falcons versus Giants. I think the Falcons will win. I like Matt Ryan more than Eli Manning, and I like Michael Turner more than Brandon Jacobs and Ahmad Bradshaw. Michael Turner had a huge game on Sunday, by the way. Finally turned it on. He's been kind of under the radar this year, but he did really good. Then the Falcons will go against the Packers, and the Packers will demolish them. And then it'll be the Packers versus the Saints in the NFC Championship, and I think that the Saints will win. I've really liked how the Saints have looked the last couple of weeks. The Packers, they lost to the Chiefs. They just haven't looked as good as they did earlier in the season. Now I know, they they beat the Lions 45-41 on Sunday, and that's great. The offense is really good, but I think that the Saints will beat them. I think that the Saints have a more balanced game. The Green Bay Packers, I think that the Saints with Darren Sproles, and I think they have a better running game than Ryan Grant by himself, with John Kuhn vulturing goal line snaps. Because James Starks, from what I understand, is still injured for the playoffs. Anyway, so I have the Saints going to the Super Bowl for the NFC. Now for the AFC, we got the Bengals versus the Texans. And I think, even though the Bengals are my favorite team, and I am a Dallas Cowboys fan, I'm from Dallas, but the Cincinnati Bengals are my favorite team in the NFL. Cowboys are my favorite NFC, Bengals are my favorite AFC. And I know they're going against the Houston Texans, and I should root for the Houston Texans because I'm from Texas, but I gotta root for the Bengals. I do think that the Texans will win the game. Now, I think that the Texans could beat every team in the AFC if they only had Matt Schaub, Andre Johnson, and Mario Williams. 2 out of 3 of their best offensive players and their best defensive player. All they have to show right now is Arian Foster. And Arian Foster is a beast. He's a machine, but I don't think he can get them past the Ravens in the next round. So I think that the Texans will beat the Bengals just because, I mean, the Bengals have played the Steelers and the Ravens a lot the second half of the season, so they haven't looked as good, mainly because they've been playing against the Steelers and the Ravens with a rookie quarterback, Andy Dalton, which I like, by the way. I like Andy Dalton. But I think the Texans will beat the Bengals. Just because the Texans' defense is so good, and Andy Dalton's a rookie quarterback, and we've seen how he struggled against good defenses in the second half of the season. And I think that the running game will get the better of the Bengals. The Bengals have a good defense too, but I think that the Houston Texans will win. Then they'll go against the Ravens, and they'll lose because they're an incomplete team, honestly. And the Ravens, I guess it depends on how Joe Flacco plays, but that's the story of the Ravens for me this season. Ray Rice is beast. Just ugh. The Ravens will win that side of the AFC playoff bracket. The other side, you've got the Broncos versus the Steelers. The Broncos will lose. If you've watched the Broncos the past 3 weeks, they're going to lose against the Steelers. Tebow threw 4 interceptions last week. He completed 6 passes out of 22 this week. They put up 3 points against the Chiefs. The Broncos are going to lose to the Steelers. The Steelers will win. Then the Steelers will play against the Patriots, and the Patriots will beat the Steelers because the Patriots' offense is they're like the Saints of the NFC. Rob Gronkowski obviously is a beast. I'm kind of tired of him spiking the ball and getting so many touchdown passes. I had Aaron Hernandez in one of my leagues, so I was always bitter, throw it to Aaron Hernandez, Tom Brady, all that. The Patriots kind of have 0 running game, but they don't need it. Yes, I had Ben Jarvis Green Ellis in one of my leagues too, and let me tell you what a sob story that was. So, Patriots beat the Steelers, and I think that the Patriots offense is good enough to just make the Steelers lose. They have no defense. I don't think that the Steelers offense is that good to really wreck the Patriots defense enough to overtake what the Patriots offense can put out. So, Patriots versus Ravens. I think the Patriots will do the same thing to the Ravens that they did to the Steelers. I think they'll win. Then Patriots versus Saints in the Super Bowl, and I'm going to take the Saints as the Super Bowl champion. I think the New Orleans Saints will win the Super Bowl. I think that they will beat both the Packers in the NFC Championship and the Patriots in the Super Bowl, and I think that they will win. Drew Brees is having an amazing year. I think the best year of any quarterback I've ever seen. Any quarterback I've been alive to see. I didn't see Dan Marino's 1984 season record that Drew Brees broke. Yeah. I'm picking the Saints to win the Super Bowl. So that's what I think about everything. And the Broncos, just the AFC West is so 3-8-8 teams and a 7-9, and the Broncos win. You've got 3 teams: Broncos, Chargers, and Raiders, all with the 3-3 record. And it kind of sucks because the Broncos have been horrible the last 3 games. They win it. They get in anyway. I actually picked the Raiders to get into the playoffs about 4 or 5 weeks ago. They were the only team that I picked that didn't get in. All the other ones I predicted are in the playoffs. So there you go. Anyway, okay. Well, that's enough for today's vlog. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks for watching all this. Hope you agree with me. Okay, see you later.